All right, great. On behalf of the entire RAMAC staff here, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today for the Business Matters Chat. Just to let you know, we will allow questions at the end. Please feel free to submit your questions in the chat box to Anna, and she'll begin to go through those, and we'll get as many of those answered at the end as we can. So please, throughout this talk today, please submit those questions to her. Today, we are pleased to have with us Dr. Parisa Mayman, the Chief Academic Officer for Siena Catholic Schools. Dr. Mayman has been in education for 19 years. She began her career as a social studies teacher at Westosha Central High School and became involved with the Wisconsin Geographic Alliance and the National Geographic Society, offering professional development for teachers across the country. Dr. Mayman has worked with the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, leading the geography strand in revising the Wisconsin State Studies, Social Studies standards, and has also worked with the Wisconsin Historical Society. She received her doctorate in urban education with an emphasis in curriculum and instruction at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. She's taught both geography and education courses at St. Norbert College, UW-Parkside, and education courses at UW-Milwaukee. Dr. Mayman has been involved with the AP Human Geography Reading and recently co-authored an AP Human Geography textbook. A graduate of St. Edward's here in Racine in 1994 and St. Catherine's High School in 1998. She's very proud to be working where she began her education. She attributes her commitment to the service to her Catholic education. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Parisa Mayman. Dr. Mayman?
Thank you so much, Matt. We do have three presenters with us today. We have Brenda White, our president, and Chris Sosney. And so I will be turning it now over to Brenda. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Parisa. It's my pleasure to welcome everybody to our event today. I have the honor to serve as president of Siena Catholic Schools of Racine, and I've been in that position since we were founded in 2017. I'm a career educator like Parisa and have served in both Catholic and public education as a teacher, special education teacher, principal, associate superintendent at the Archdiocese of Milwaukee, and now in this role since we founded Siena. And I'm also pleased to have my colleague, Chris Sosney, our executive director of development, with us today. And Chris has an extensive background in development that I'll ask him to share in a little while. But we would like to just start with our agenda for today and let you know the things that we would like to cover. We really want to focus on the impact we make in the Racine community with Catholic education, and start by giving you a little bit of a snapshot about Siena Catholic Schools, who we are, who we serve, and talk about the major components of Catholic education here in Racine. And as we mentioned, our presenters, all three of us will play a role in presenting today, Dr. Parisa Mayman and Chris and myself. And I'm going to kick us off with just asking a general question to the group here, because I know the answer is yes for some of you, but not sure how many of you this applies to, but how many of you, just by raising your hand, have either attended, you or a family member, could be generations, a Catholic school, either at the elementary, high school, college level, or possibly even graduate school. We see a lot in the audience today, so that's awesome. We certainly know nationally and within our state, and certainly within our community, we have a lot of excellent Catholic schools. So nice to see lots of the impact within our participants today. So thank you. Just a quick focus on our mission, because we believe mission drives everything we do in Siena Catholic Schools of Racine, and at the heart of our mission statement is really our call to help our students become who God created them to be. And that really comes from a great quote that inspires many leaders and educators from St. Catherine of Siena, our patron saint. Be who God meant you to be, and you'll set the world ablaze. And so we really take that quote and those inspirational words from St. Catherine of Siena as really the root of our mission, where we are called to help our students grow in faith, in knowledge, and service, so that they really learn how to tap into the God-given gifts and talents that they've been blessed with, and how we can then, in our vision statement, we compel our students to use those gifts and talents to become successful leaders out in whether they go on from our Catholic schools into college, into the workforce, into a career, but out into the community and hopefully into their church, so that they become successful leaders in whatever environment, wherever they go once they leave us. So a little snapshot about, I mentioned we're a new organization established in 2017, but certainly our schools are not new in Racine. We have a 150-year history of Catholic education here in Racine. And so our history is very deep, but as a newly formed organization, Siena brings together our 5 Catholic grade schools and St. Catherine High School as really our anchor school. And you can see here that we have 5 grade schools across the Racine community, and those schools serve K-3 through grade 8, and then St. Catherine's High School grades 9 through 12. We are supported and sponsored by 11 Catholic parishes in Racine, as well as the Racine Dominican Sisters and the Archdiocese of Milwaukee. The Racine Dominicans actually founded our Catholic schools back in the 1800s, and over the course of time, over 1,600 Racine Dominican sisters have served as educators just in our Racine Catholic schools. So it's an incredible history that the Racine Dominicans have really forged in our community here in Racine. Who we serve, I mentioned we have students in 3K through grade 12. We serve approximately 1,600 students and a very beautifully diverse group of students. About 80% of the students we serve in our schools qualify for participation in the Racine Parental Choice Program. And all of our high school students receive financial aid, either through what we provide as the Siena Promise Scholarship that goes to any of our students who participated in or are a part of our grade schools or in religious education at one of our partner parishes, as well as many, many additional scholarships that are available through the generosity of the St. Catherine's High School Foundation, as well as financial aid. So we really support all of our students at the high school level to make sure that Catholic high school is really affordable and accessible here in Racine, so that we can provide that option to anyone who's seeking it. And there's a little graphic that just shows you the makeup of the diversity, the ethnicity within our schools. And we really, as I mentioned, have a beautifully diverse group of students. Our student population is predominantly Catholic, but you can clearly see that not all of our students, it's certainly not a requirement to be Catholic, but we have predominantly Catholic students who come, and yet our doors are wide open for students of really any and every background that come to us. I'll touch a little bit on the faith component, expand a little bit, and then I'm going to turn it over to Parisa, who's going to lead us in what we do educationally. So at the heart of a Catholic education, is what really differentiates us between us and perhaps public schools and other options. We believe is the Catholic faith that that's at the heart of a Catholic education. And there we go. Whoops. There we go. We're getting the right slide. Here we go. Thank you, Parisa. our tagline for Siena Catholic Schools is faith forward education, because we believe that faith is not only at the center of everything we do, but it needs to lead the way in educationally for all of our students. And so our students have opportunities daily, weekly, and throughout the year to really grow and develop in their faith formation. And we believe strongly that our role, whether our students are Catholic or not, is to really help our students develop a very deep and strong moral compass. So providing daily opportunities for prayer, for reflection, for religious classes. Our high school students have 4 years of religious studies, 4 years of theology classes, in addition to their regular graduation requirements. So again, faith life, developing the faith life and the moral decision-making of our students is something that is a part of daily instruction in a Catholic school. So they have a lot of opportunities for seasonal, like now we're in the season of Lent leading up to Easter. So our students are learning a lot about what that means and involved in activities that relate to the season of Easter. So there might be special seasonal activities we do centered around Christmas and Easter. Those are big days and big seasons of the year for our students, but they also have many, many opportunities to develop from a service standpoint with a lot of extensive activities. So I'm going to turn it over now to Parisa, and she's going to lead us through some of the educational opportunities our students have.
Thank you so much, Brenda. Yes, tying back to our mission, we're going to be focusing, as Brenda mentioned, on knowledge and that academic component. And as our mission mentioned, we want to ignite a spirit of excellence in faith, knowledge, and service. We do have learning priorities for this academic year. Last year, we actually started with our math component. And so we really know that math and literacy are two areas where students, generally speaking, tend to struggle. And so we developed a math committee last year who looked at ways that we could strengthen our math instruction. And we also put a lot of investment into a new math program so that we have these instructional supports to help our students. As well as this year, we also have a math interventionist that goes around and helps and gives that one-on-one attention to our students. This year, our focus has been literacy. We do now have a literacy committee, and we are looking at what are ways that we can support our learners, because we know that literacy is the foundation to a good education, and that is definitely a priority for us moving forward. We are looking at best practices, and we're looking at, what are some phonics programs that we can implement system-wide so that we can be consistent in ways that we can support our students and our teachers as well. Another large priority for us involves STEM. We, as you'll see in the slides to come, we have a lot of emphasis on our STEM programs, and we do have STEM clubs now in many of our schools, as well as robotics clubs at the high school as well. Another one of our focuses involves diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have a lot of clubs that have formed specifically this year. We have Culture Club, we have the Yes Club, we have a HANA Club at the high school, and those clubs and activities that we have, such as the work that we did with Black History Month, and we hope to expand that to other events as well. So that is definitely a focus of ours, as well as innovative technology. At our high school, we have iPads. At our K-8s, we have Chromebooks. We have Clever Touches in every classroom. We have Nearpod, which is one of the academic programs that we use. So we're definitely invested in that, as well as student wellness and mental health. And as we mentioned before in our vision, we really want our students to be successful in college, career, community, and the church. And that goes back to helping students be who God created them to be. And I know for me as a grad, this is really instrumental and important for me, because when I went to St. Catherine's, our focus was really on preparing students for college. And now it feels like we're more well-rounded and also looking at students who want to go straight into a career or industry as well. and be successful in the community. Okay, in terms of being ready for college, in addition to the curriculum that we offer, we also try to offer opportunities for students to get ahead. We have partnerships with some institutions to offer dual enrollment credit so that our students can have free college tuition before they even leave the high school. So we have enrollment with Cardinal Stritch, with Parkside as well. We also are proud to offer 11 AP courses at the high school. And again, thinking back to when I went to St. Catherine's, we had 1 or 2 AP courses. So the fact that we have 11 AP courses in a variety of different subject areas is something to definitely be proud of. And again, that excellence that we want to offer to our students. We also have ACT prep because we know that the ACT is one of the ways that helps students not only get into high school or get into college, excuse me, but that can also give them opportunities to have reduced tuition in college and to get scholarships. And so our counseling department has also worked to implement nights to help, such as fast food nights, to make that more affordable and so that our families know more about the process. And then in terms of career ready, we're very proud to also have this partnership with Gateway. We currently have many students, and I believe we have the second most in Racine, actually, in terms of students enrolled in the Gateway Academies. So you can see that there are 7 different Gateway Academies there, and there's a variety of students that are involved in each one of those academies. So this is a great opportunity that again, students who are interested in that career path can be ready for that as well. In addition, we have the Siena courses for nursing that we partner with Gateway to give our students those opportunities to excel, to be who they want to be. We also are very proud of our S.C. Johnson STEM Lab and the Perez Makerspace. We have included a few photos here. You can see of the ribbon cutting ceremony on the top and just how different that space looked. I don't know how many of you, in answer to that first icebreaker question, I'm not sure how many of you went to St. Catherine's High School, but I'm sure these photos you might be thinking, wow, that looks a lot different from when I went to high school. This is up on the 3rd floor. So if you're ever interested in having a tour, I know RAMAC is offering a tour with us coming up in April, and Gretchen is part of that as well. So feel free to reach out to Gretchen or reach out to us. And we would love to be able to showcase our STEM lab for you. In terms of our STEM lab as well, we have 3 different tracks of STEM that we offer to students. We have engineering, we have biomedical engineering, and computer science. And even though that's an elective course, over 75% of our students are enrolled in the STEM field. We also want to make sure educationally we're helping students who need the support. Here are just some examples of ways that we are looking to support our students who need it. I don't have to read all those for you, but it just is, these are examples to show our dedication to that. Our learning support coordinators at our K-8 schools are dedicated specifically to help students who are struggling and with testing and for that literacy piece, because as we mentioned, that's a really strong component for us and one that we are focusing on moving forward. In addition to our students who need extra support, we're also looking to help our gifted and talented students. This year, we were able to offer algebra system-wide to all Siena students. And that was something that was new because we had offered it at one school in the past. And that was really from an equity standpoint, something that we were very happy to offer. We also have a program called Edmentum. So you might think at the high school, we only have a certain number of teaching staff and we can only offer a certain number of courses, but our partnership with Edmentum allows us to have more flexibility. So for example, it's an online program, and if students are interested in taking courses that we potentially don't have the staffing to offer, they can take AP courses or accelerated courses through Edmentum and still get high school credit for that. The same with the Discovery Project. The Discovery Project is run through the Archdiocese of Milwaukee, and it's an opportunity at the K-8 level to give our students more opportunities. And then lastly, this year we've partnered with Gateway at the 6th through 8th grade level. And here's a picture just of the Fab Lab. We have had Gateway come out to several of our K-8 schools, and they will continue to support and come out to our K-8 schools. They bring things like digital printers for our students to work on. They've brought robotics kits and programs for our students as well. They've worked with welding. And as we move forward, we're going to be doing a hackathon later this spring that Gateway will be helping us with as well, which goes back to that notion of we're really focused on that STEM component system-wide and not just at the high school. And with that, I will turn it over to Chris to talk about service.
Great. Thank you, Parisa. I first want to pause for a minute and thank RAMAC for having us. Matt, you and your team have been champions for strong schools, and we appreciate that support. And we understand that that's not just RUSD or parochial schools, that's all education. And you guys know how much that matters to your members to have strong education. So we appreciate the fact that we're able to kind of share this information with your members and have a discussion about education and what we do. Service is a huge part of our education here with Siena. Primarily, I'm going to focus on St. Catherine's requirements at the high school of what they do and things that we do. But the main thing is we're developing service-oriented students who can go out in the community and kind of work knowing that they're working for something larger than just themselves. And that starts kind of at a young age in our grade schools, but it continues into the high school. So the next slide will show you just kind of a snapshot of some of the things across the board our students are providing the community with their service hours and commitments. Next slide will explain to you kind of the commitment that we as a school at St. Catherine's have. These are the graduation requirements for every student to complete each year they're a student there. So if you add those up, that would basically be just shy of 9,000 hours per year that our high school students are providing the community. That's obviously their churches, our grade schools, but that also includes, places like Halo or the zoo, the library, all sorts of places where we can get in and do things. And we've prided ourselves that even during COVID, we've still, worked with partners who were willing to take students and volunteers, and we were still out there requiring the students to fulfill these requirements. We also have a class that seniors can take, and this is part of their religion requirement. They can take it, and what it is they go out into the community and give back as part of their class. A lot of the students, as pictured as you see here, are students that went to a specific grade school. It's John Paul II Academy. There were assigned to be at the work site there. So part of their religion classes, they would go back, give back to the grade school that they attended, help. They were assigned to a class, and they were an aid to the teacher, which not only helped the teacher, but it also helps the students kind of see success stories at the high school of modeling who they can be, or mentor them to hopefully go on and be just like them when they go to St. Catherine's. Next slide. Day with a Purpose was, in addition to those service hours, something that we do as a school, St. Catherine's does as a school, and every student goes out into the community. One specific day we do this, and they serve the community that day. So they pick a site that they want to do. They go out with their classmates and they serve in the community that day, and they come back and reflect on those things. So again, just something to show you some of the stuff that we as a system, as a school, pride ourselves on is giving back. That's part of the graduation. That's part of the mission. And Brenda mentioned building that moral compass. We are trying to build and set a moral compass for our students to not only excel in literacy and math and everything else academic, but also when they go out into the community, we understand that they're going to be employees and they're going to have a service-oriented kind of idea and way to do things. So we pride ourselves on our graduates going out in the community, whether it's career, college, that they are ready for those things. So saying that, I do believe that that's kind of the end of the formal presentation, and I will turn it over to Anna or Matt to facilitate the next part of this.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Dr. Mayman. At this time, we will take questions, and I don't know if Anna's got some in the chat box or not, but one of the questions that I actually have, I guess I'll jump in first, is Chris, you touched on it a little bit about the support that RAMAC has for education and the kids moving forward. And first, I'd like to publicly acknowledge St. Catherine's High School because we do our youth apprenticeship program, and St. Catherine's approached us a couple of years ago about, could we be a part of that? And I'm really happy to say that you are contributing towards our goal, and we're going to get there. You're contributing towards our goal to reach 300 youth apprenticeship opportunities in our community for the kids, to really give them an opportunity. So I'd like to publicly thank you. You are the first school outside of the school district, outside of Unified, that has wished and wanted to participate in this program. So thank you very much. We do appreciate that. The question that I have for you, the three of you, is St. Catherine's, or would St. Catherine's ever consider a graduation requirement at the high school level for financial literacy for the kids? Has that ever been talked about?
I'll jump in first and then ask Parisa. I know that there has been some discussion with the high school team, but I don't know how far along, Matt, the planning has gotten. And I don't know if Parisa wants to add on to that, but certainly that has been a topic for high school administrators that has become more and more relevant. I know we have a business education class, and I'm not sure how much within the business education class now that within the curriculum, it certainly would be a part of that. Parisa, do you have anything to expand on that?
Probably not at this time, Brenda. From my understanding, at least at the present moment, as you mentioned, it's kind of woven into the current business classes, but it's not a separate course, at least right now.
But we're happy to take that to our high school administrative team, Matt.
It is, the reason I ask, it is something that we have seen in our work with the Unified School District, that that is a component that is really lacking and needs to be looked at. I know there are some communities that are taking a look at doing it. Other states are looking at doing it. I was just curious if we have contemplated that at all at St. Catherine's, as it is something that I'm talking to the district about.
Certainly one of our values is innovation. So, we're happy to bring new ideas always forward to our administrative leaders, because we want to be innovative and we want to meet the needs of our community and the needs that our graduates have, as they move on from us. So if that, is important, we are happy always to bring new ideas to the team and keep moving forward with them.
Thank you. Anna, I'll throw it to you on the chat box. Do we have anything in there?
There's not right now, but I do have two questions. One might be a little, I don't know, just your opinion philosophically. So during COVID, I know ACT and SAT testing sites were all shut down, and a lot of colleges, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and what I've read, are just even stopping that requirement. I've seen a list, and there are some in, that I recognize. Some of them might be much smaller schools, but I do recognize some of the names. How do you feel about that? I don't know. I'm just very curious. Is it outdated? Does it mean anything anymore? So this is what I mean. It's kind of philosophical, but as educators, what do you think?
I'll take the first crack, and I'm sure Parisa will be happy to share her thoughts on it too. But as a career educator, standardized testing is just, it's a snapshot in time of a student's capacity. And it really is something that can't be the be all end all in terms of how we measure student success or students' readiness to go on. And, in our country, we have been locked into, especially at the college level, using ACT and SAT to make decisions about children's futures that have a great impact. And I'm personally thrilled, to see colleges moving away from that as a measuring stick. I guess it's the special ed teacher in me and my roots showing, but I think children have such amazing capacities and multiple intelligences that are never going to be reflected on a standardized test score because of maybe kids who are restricted in terms of how the timing of those tests, their time tests, their high stakes testing, the pressure and so forth. So they are not always an accurate measure of really what that child's true capacity is. So at any level, whether it's at the grade school, high school, or college, standardized testing, I think, has to be looked at, as one component along with many other authentic measures of students' capacity. Parisa, do you want to add on to that?
Well, I agree with everything you said. And that doesn't surprise me. And I do agree that it is one component or one measure. The other part of the educator in me says, well, I'd love to see it go. It still is prevalent in some colleges. So as long as it's still prevalent in some places, I feel that we as a system have to do our due diligence for students and make sure that we're preparing them to be successful in taking the ACT, because if that's the path that they want to go, if they want to go to college, and if certain colleges require that, then I feel that we need to prepare them for that as a measure. But I certainly would be happy if that measure disappeared.
Kudos. I agree. Anyway, I also want to know, this is a personal question. Chris and I had a conversation about the use of kids at St. Catherine's, their iPhones, their cell phones, their whatever, Samsung, whatever, their phones. And at St. Catherine's, they were going to start putting them in little pouches, hiding them away for the day. Did that happen? How is it going?
Yes.
I was also very fascinated by that. And I wanted a follow-up. So here we are. Chris, you can give me your follow-up.
So I'm not an educator at all. And but I am a parent of a junior, and
At St. Cat's.
Yes, at St. Cat's. And that did not go over well with him. However, it is in place, and I don't know how long it's been in place. It happened shortly after we had our meeting, but it is in place. It continues to be in place, and I think it's going well. I think there was a lot of kind of hard withdrawal for students, but the reasoning behind it was to get students to engage more with one another when they're at lunch, and also not be tempted to look at it or play with it during the day. They should be focused on school. So my son very much spends a lot of time on his phone and loves his technology, but it gets locked up when he comes in, and when he leaves, it gets unlocked. And I've even been in the office when kids have gone down to the secretary and said, hey, my phone's been buzzing a lot, and I want to check to see if something's going on or what have you. And, maybe mom was trying to get a hold of the child or not. But, so there is a little flexibility there, but they are required to keep them in. They cannot get them out without, getting it from an administrator at the school.
I would just add on to that success is probably in the eyes of the beholder, because while the kids, may have feelings about it, I can say it's wildly successful in the eyes of the administrators and teachers. Some of you who may be alum may know Frank Miles, who's taught there for over 40 years. He's just a beloved science teacher. And he commented on, for years walking down the hall or up and down the stairs, you'd pass by students and they were like this, with between classes with their heads down, checking their phones. And he said now when he's out in the hallway between classes or in the morning going up and down the stairs, he said kids actually smile at him and say, "Hi, Mr. Miles." And he said just that simple little thing that, just somebody greeting you and looking you in the face instead of head down, engaged in their phones. So I think the teachers are happy that kids are less distracted by the phones during the day and therefore more hopefully engaged in their learning, which was the goal of the administration in bringing that project forward.
Great to hear. I was personally thought that was a wonderful idea, and you said something about innovation. So you kind of had, because of innovation, almost had to go backwards for a minute there to not have them use, technology. However, I know you mentioned the Chromebooks and the iPads, and how has technology kind of changed education for the Siena Catholic schools in recent years?
I'll again start off and ask Parisa and Chris to add on, but I think one of the blessings that came out of the pandemic, and, certainly we've seen a lot of negatives associated with the pandemic, but a blessing that came out of it educationally is it kind of pushed us into the deep end of the pool right away in terms of technology, because while we had one-to-one devices for many years at the high school, so the students there were very used to, utilizing a one-to-one device every day as part of their learning. Our grade school students certainly did not all have one-to-ones, but with the help of some of the federal assistance funds, we were able to get Chromebooks across all the grade schools for all of our elementary students, a one-to-one device in a fairly quick order, which then also meant we needed to do a lot of work to make sure that our teachers and students knew how to use those devices effectively to assist in their learning. So from my perspective, having the pandemic kind of push us forward, I didn't know that I would see the day in my career, to be honest, where teachers were virtually teaching and just like quickly adapting to what was pushed at us very rapidly during the pandemic. And yet there's been so much creativity that has come about and innovation as a result of the pandemic and the influx of one-to-one devices. Parisa, do you want to add on to that, or Chris?
No, I would just say, this fall and winter, I think the schools experienced, with the surge in COVID cases, a lot of teachers being out, and we were able to adapt by, making sure that the teachers, when healthy, could present virtually to students that were in class and use technology to their benefit. We've been in school since, the start of last school year, been back and in person, and we know that in-person learning is what is best, and that technology has helped us connect with the students.
I have an answer to a question that was asked earlier about financial planning. I'm looking at the course guidebook or selection guide for next year at St. Catherine's. And in the business department, there is a course called Financial Planning for the High School Student, which is a dual credit course with Gateway that is offered to 11th and 12th graders. as an elective. So I just wanted to follow up about that.
I see there's some great comments in the chat box too about the financial literacy. So thank you for sharing those comments and thoughts.
A chat box question as well. Are there any collaboration efforts between Siena schools and RUSD, Gateway, Parkside, Carthage, et cetera, to align learning objectives, or are they planned independently?
Do you want me to chime in here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. I would say in terms of collaboration, we definitely have a partnership
Mhm.
with Gateway Technical College, with UW Parkside, and with Cardinal Stritch. I'm not sure about Carthage particularly, but when we do have those partnerships and when we offer dual enrollment, then we do have to align our learning objectives in order for that to happen. But I can't speak to Carthage. I don't know if Chris can help me out with that piece, but
Yeah, I'm not aware of the Carthage connection. I just want to acknowledge Gateway and their investment that they've made. I know Sam's here, but you know, Katie Graff, who kind of oversees high school relationships, that has been a very positive thing for our students, and I want to acknowledge that, you know, they are trying to help you know, the business community by getting kids prepared and allowing them to, in high school, both public and private school students, high school students, to take classes, earn credits, you know, and get, you know, degrees like a welding degree before they even graduate high school. So they're employable and they fill jobs that I'm sure Matt hears all the time of employers saying, we just can't find qualified, you know, people. And, you know, we are a pipeline. Gateway recognizes that. And it's been a great synergy that we've worked with them. Our students have been excited about it. Our parents have been excited about it. And, you know, we're excited that Gateway is helping us out.
The other thought that jumped into my head about this topic is that we have been recruiting higher education representatives to serve on our education committee and our board of directors. And so the more our efforts there are successful and the more higher ed representatives we've been able to recruit onto our committees and our board of directors, the more that Chris used the word synergy, the more that discussion and that synergy is there for us to plan more effectively together. So I would say those are some key steps that I see evolving as we become, you know, a little bit more grounded as an organization. Those steps are helping us build greater partnerships and greater collaborations with our higher ed partners in the community.
So kind of on the flip side of that topic, how is it going employment wise? I don't know how to ask this question for your teachers, for your schools within the Siena Catholic school system.
Well, I would say from our perspective, you know, the challenges we've seen, especially in the last couple of years, are similar to our colleagues in public education and other private schools, not only here in the region, in the state, across the nation. Like, education has really suffered as a result of the pandemic. We had very high teacher turnover the last couple of years, and that's not unique to Siena. That's been true of, you know, really public school districts everywhere, not just in our region or state. It's just really a crisis that education leaders are facing everywhere. And I don't think that's unique to our industry. I think other industries are experiencing a lot of turnover. And so we have had the challenge of how do we continue to attract and retain great teachers and great staff members. So again, like our public school counterparts, we've had to look at how do we continuously look at salaries and benefits and provide things that we see as more attractive. We've tried to close the gap closer and closer between our pay and benefits as compared to public schools. So we monitor, what our public school counterparts are doing in terms of salary and benefits, and try each year to get closer and closer. And will always continue to be a challenge for us, but it's one we're very mindful of and try to be progressive about. We've tried to look at the low end of our teacher pay scale to try to raise that up incrementally higher maybe than the steps and lanes at the higher end, to try to recruit younger teachers in. So I think those, again, are not unique to Siena, but as I talk to my colleagues in education in various regions, we all kind of commiserate with each other, because the pandemic caused a lot of teachers to either take early retirement. It caused some young teachers not to come into the field or even complete potentially their college graduation. So we saw shifts in the pipeline of teachers coming in out of colleges because of the pandemic. We've certainly seen a shift on the higher end with people taking that early retirement, and some veteran teachers just really saying, I'm going to take a pause, because the pandemic was very grueling on educators, and some people just said, wow, I just have to take a step back for a while. So that's created a workforce predicament for really the field of education. But my guess is many on this call who are in other industries are experiencing the same kinds of challenges we have seen during the pandemic.
Thank you, Brenda. And I perhaps would just like to add on and say, I believe that our mission and our vision make us unique in Racine, and in terms of that Catholic education piece. And as I've shared many times, one of the main reasons that I was interested in my position was the fact that I went to St. Catherine's and I went to St. Edward's. And so I really wanted to be back. And I always felt like St. Catherine's and St. Edward, that was my family. And so when we're thinking about the workforce, part of that is trying to bring people together and really think about our mission and holding people in that special place and making us strengthen that bond and really feel like a family. And I believe that that's something that we've really been working on.
I know we're running up on time, but I just want to address Gretchen's question. Actually, I see there's two questions here now, but Gretchen, and I'm going to direct this towards Brenda. I think she's asking how the Siena school structure is working out. She says, I know there was some hesitancy. Maybe you could provide just a little bit background of how long this has been in place in the making, and then how it's going.
Well, the efforts to bring our Catholic schools in Racine together as a system actually go back to the 1960s. So we had people on our strategic planning team. Then when we started planning for the system, we had members on the team that said, one member in particular, she said, my grandmother was part of a strategic planning team in the 60s to try to bring our Catholic schools together. So we could look back during the different decades and see, well, here was an effort in the 80s and here was an effort in the 90s. So it's been a long time coming, because change is difficult for a lot of people. But the efforts that led to the successful formation of Siena, we tried to have many listening sessions in the community and with our Catholic schools, with our parishes, to make sure we listened to what was really important or what could potentially be barriers to coming together as a system. So when in the strategic planning process, we had to pay attention to what those potential threats to the system might be. But we certainly have seen great positives come from the efforts to become a system. And so while initially people were fearful of losing their identity, for example, that was a big deal, like St. Rita's really wanted to still be the St. Rita's Royals, and St. Lucy's school still wanted to be the St. Lucy Lightning. And so we had to make sure that they didn't become Siena North and Siena South, for example. They wanted to retain, that was very important to our schools. So we had to pay attention to what things were important while pushing forward to bringing our schools together as a system, so that what we have experienced since 2017-18, when we started, we've seen the benefits of becoming a system. We've gotten past those bumpy initial baby steps we had to take in the beginning to now seeing the benefits of the system, bringing so more resources into the hands of our teachers and our students. So now that we've been, I like to say we're kind of in our toddler, we're not exactly infant stage anymore, but we're still toddlers. We're still pretty young as an organization. We're still learning and growing rapidly. And yet we see that having the ability to think and act and move as a system, we're still small enough to be nimble and adapt quickly like we had to during the pandemic. And yet we see the benefits of all the resources that as a system we are able to bring into the hands of our teachers and students. I do want to touch on Scott's question about enrollment size. We have seen enrollment growth since we've started, which we're really proud of that. One of our goals of creating the system was growth in Catholic education and sustainability. So we could provide a Catholic education to all who wanted one. Our high school is approximately our target enrollment for the high school was 500, and we're right about in that ballpark. We this year brought in a freshman class of 150. We already have 165 freshmen enrolled for next year already, so we're definitely hitting our target enrollment goals. At the grade schools, we have a little over 1,000 students across our 5 grade schools. They're each a little, right around 200 to 225-ish or so enrollment wise. So our 5 grade schools are, again, K-8s that all feed into the high school. And the other wonderful trend, because Scott, you also asked about trends, what we're delighted to see is that each year that we've been in existence, we're seeing more and more of our students come from our grade schools into the high school, which was definitely what we hoped would happen, is create a strong pipeline for our students who come in as 3, 4, and 5-year-olds and can stay all the way through to 12th grade in a Catholic school, while still allowing kids to come in at entry points all along the way.
Yep, you hit those questions in the chat box. There are no more unless somebody wants to shout one out real quick. Otherwise, we have hit our time perfectly.
Great.
Matt might have some closing words.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you to Dr. Mayman, Brenda White, Chris Sosny. Thank you very much for giving us the insight into St. Catherine's High School and Siena schools. We do appreciate you being with us today and giving us an hour of your time. I'd also like to remind everybody that our next Business Matters chat takes place on Wednesday, April 27th. Our guest that day will be Logan McCoy, Vice President of Services for CCB Technology, and his topic he'll be covering is cybersecurity, something that we're all keenly aware of these days.
Mm-hmm.
So I invite you to join us for that one. It should be very interesting. And with that, I'd like to say thank you to everyone again for joining us. And
Thank you.
we'll see you next time.
Thank you,
Have a great
Matt.
rest of your day.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks
you.
for inviting us, Matt. Thank you, Ann.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Bye now.